You go get my phone. Is it still lit? Well, I'm sure it helps. I'm sure it helps.
Welcome to the City of Lemon Grove's regular city council meeting. I would like to remind everyone to please silence your cell phones. Thank you. City Clerk, will you please call the roll of the city council members to go on the record as in attendance?
Councilmember Gassion, absent. Councilmember Barron, absent. Councilmember Snow.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza. Here. Mayor Vasquez.
Here.
Councilmember Barron.
Councilmember Barron, here. Welcome to everybody who's here in the audience.
Mayor Vasquez, we have a quorum of the city council.
Thank you so very much. I will ask, Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza to lead us in the pledge.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes to the agenda?
Madam Mayor, the city manager has a change to tonight's agenda.
Yes, Madam Mayor, with the concurrence of City Council, I'd like to bring back item number 5 that is currently listed on the agenda. Staff still needs some key information that was inadvertently left out in the staff report, and we'd like to bring this back to the meeting on 7/16, and we apologize for that oversight. I believe that needs a formal action. We need a motion and a second to continue that item. Thank you so very much. We have a motion.
I'll move that we continue.
Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. I'll ask our city clerk to call the roll.
The motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza with a second by Councilmember Snow. I will now conduct a vote to go on the record. Councilmember LeBaron.
Councilmember LeBaron, aye.
Councilmember Castillo, absent. Councilmember Snow.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Aye.
Mayor Vasquez.
Aye.
Motion carries on a vote of 4-0-1.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to ask that we pull the consent calendar from the payment demand, sorry, from the consent calendar. Do I have any of my colleagues support in doing that?
Councilmember LeBaron has requested to pull the payments in advance. I'm checking to see if any of the other council members, are willing to pull that item. As I do not see any support, for pulling the item, the request fails.
I'll move on to the presentation portion of the meeting tonight. We do not have any presentations, and so I'm gonna go ahead and, go directly to our general public comment portion of the meeting. During the general public comment portion of this meeting, the public may express their concerns not pertaining to items on the agenda tonight. Please note that in accordance to state law, the city council is not permitted to respond to any comments expressed by the public. If appropriate, staff will be directed to follow up with the speaker, or the topic may be brought back to the city council for consideration at a future date. Per Lemon Grove Municipal Code, Chapter 2.14.150, all remarks must be addressed to the city council as a body and not to any individual council member. Each speaker will have a maximum of 3 minutes. When speaking, please observe the green, yellow, and red light timer at the podium. The red light indicates that it is time for the next speaker to approach the podium to begin speaking. To the clerk, do we have speaker slips? Our first speaker will be Nola Clark Manson, followed by Mazen Sheen.
I'm Nola Clark Manson, 2.5 years in Lemon Grove, and I'm opposed to the decision made last week regarding moving money away from the senior center repair to use that money for an undetermined service for the unhoused. The money was designed to fix a long-term but simple problem to fix. Last year, the part of the money was pulled away to determine if we could build on top of the senior center. This year, the council has decided to take all the funds away. When the city manager reminded the city council that the senior center was another way to bring funds into the city, it was ignored for the short-term appearance of action. Just because something has less votes does not mean it is less valued. It means less of a focus. I wonder what the people who were at the budget workshop would have voted if they knew the funds were going to be removed completely. I say short-term appearance of action because there is no plan, there's no provider, there's no idea what the funds will be used for, no discussion with the community or the people affected, the unhoused. This is also while the city manager was going to work with this county to determine what funds could be brought into Lemon Grove. The council said that senior center is less important than highlighting funds with no purpose identified. We all know that earmarking funds without a direction does nothing. If the senior center was fixed, it could be in consideration or in the discussions about solutions for the homeless in our community, but those options are no longer on the table. And going forward, the city's going to need to be very, very, very transparent. I know I'm being redundant, but it needs to be extremely transparent so that there isn't a perception of impropriety when a decision is made about who uses it.
Thank you so very much. Next we have Mazine Tina, followed by John L. Wood. And if you could pick up the mic and hold it close so that we can all hear you.
Good evening. I own business in Lemon.
Just speak directly into the mic.
I own a sportsman club in Lemon Grove for over 17 years. And I'm trying to improve my business with trying to bring a liquor license to my business and improve everything and sales tax, help the city as much as I can, and the modeling. And I was wondering if there's any way we can have a chance to improve my business. And, I mean, I love Lemon Grove, I've been here for 17 years. I just don't wanna leave Lemon Grove. And, hopefully I can get some help, see if I can have a liquor license in my bar. There's only one established we have that opportunity to do that, but I don't have that opportunity for 17 years. So, I need some help from you and, from the city.
Are we allowed to ask questions or no, just a statement?
You can state your questions, however, we are not able to respond, it will go through city staff.
So our questions would have to go through city staff?
If you can, use the mic.
So our questions would go through the city staff and then a decision would have to be voted upon by you all?
Let me explain. The general public comment portion of the meeting, which is happening right now, is just the opportunity of the public to state, comments or, issues. You can ask questions, but because it's not agendized, the city council cannot respond to you at this time. However, if the city council would like to agendize something based upon the comments that they received during the general public comment portion of the meeting, they can do so at a future meeting. That's why when you take general public comment, typically the city council does not respond. Or they will have staff give a brief response with an update, if there is such an update.
Is there a way to request for something to be agendized?
Yes, you can make that request.
Okay,
You
yeah.
can say whatever you'd like during general public comment.
Okay, I mean, that would be our request, is to have this issue agendized for the next meeting. I don't know if we can make a motion to do that, or what would be the procedure to do that?
The city council can has the opportunity during these meetings to make a motion, to agendize something for future meetings. To agendize something for a future meeting, it requires a motion and a second, in order to be agendized. So you can make the request and ask any questions you'd like, it's just that the city council cannot respond to you at this time.
Okay, I guess we would make that motion. We understand that there are city ordinances that address this, but we would like an opportunity to be heard on why we think this request should be granted.
Thank you so very much. The appropriate staff will follow up with you regarding your request. We are in the middle of public comment. Once the public comment portion of the meeting is done, then, council members, if there is a desire to make any changes or to make a request, that can happen after the public comment portion of the meeting. This part of the meeting is specifically for the public, so, I'm asking that we respect their time, but also really listen to the comments that they're sharing. Next, I have, John Elwood, followed by Teresa Rosier Prophet.
John Elwood. This morning, I pulled a Lemon Grove. That means I ignored something that was happening. The island on Broadway between the KFC and the Jack in the Box at the far end, was spewing water. I left Jack in the Box at 6:30, water was still running, flooding the intersection. I waited till after 7, called city, and I never got a response back. So, that's going to Lemon Grove. You just ignore it, don't worry about it, someday it might get fixed. crashed into my car. The person has no insurance, so I guess I get to go to small claims to get it back. It's only gonna cost $7,000 to fix my car. But I knew that from the beginning. It was a hit and run. I told you about it last time. So, just so you know, I'm not a happy camper. And Central needs speed humps. Speed humps. From the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill. Speed humps. I've told you this before. I even went out and got some signatures, but I went to turn them in and said, oh, you need a special form. And this was after I broke my neck. I was out walking then. I'm not walking anymore to get anything done, because I know it will never get done with you people.
Thank you so very much. Next, we have Teresa Rosette Prophet, followed by Matt Krasinski.
Teresa Rosiak Prophet. I've been a resident of Lemon Grove 61 years. I have come before you for 4 years and 8 months asking you for this request. Concerned residents come before you meeting after meeting, asking you to agendize important issues that affect their lives. Yet tonight, as many of the other agendas, you refuse to agendize their concerns. And it is deploring. It's shameful, and it has to stop. Why can't you work hard for our residents and our community? We need new leadership. I've said this again, as I've said it in the past, and we need it now. The council is ineffective, and that has been proven. The Lemon Grove Improvement Council would like to open the promenade bathrooms, which are so desperately needed on a limited hour basis for the unsheltered in Lemon Grove. Why will you not collaborate with the Lemon Grove Improvement Council and MTS? I say leave your personal feelings aside. These are the homeless of Lemon Grove. Your residents. Yes, a homeless person is a resident in the city of Lemon Grove. And this is important. I urge the voters of Lemon Grove to think wisely, because election time is coming up. As of yesterday, the Lemon Grove Improvement Council and the Lemon Grove Homeless Outreach have counted 293 homeless, and we have done intakes on them in Lemon Grove. 293. You all should be ashamed. Do more for the homeless. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Next, we have Matt Krasinski, followed by Michelle Cruz.
Good evening, my name is Max Strinsky from ASME and leading the bargaining on behalf of the Lemon Grove employees. Appreciate them being here within the two bargaining units at ASME Local 127. First, I want to let you know that we have not been told that there's an economic proposal. It's been now 4 months since the city manager asked us to expedite this and make it a priority. We still do not know of an economic proposal. I want to let you know. Two is that there are two major issues still that are really at the table that are affecting us. One is the 40-hour work week. I think that the residents here would love our workers to actually work 40 hours a week. We need about 1,000 more service hours. We need a little bit more money in their pockets, but we give 1,000 more hours a year probably to help out in the city. I think that the city hopefully will support that. Two is regarding student pool hours. So instead of getting in detail, I just want to say this, is that I have 3 minutes to make these speeches. And truly, it is very difficult to try to get all the information out in this time. The mayor could allow me additional time, but she has not allowed me that additional time. She has not granted that. So what I'm asking is that the council at a later time agendize for me your presentation and talk about the issues that are still affecting us at the bargaining table. For you to listen, to hear what we have to say, versus us trying to cram it in a very short period of time that we're doing this. Because I fear that if we do not convey the urgency, the issues that are ahead of us, we are gonna look at this being a bargaining that will continue on endlessly and maybe even be forced to go to impasse. And I'm being truthful about that, because we have been accepting things that we don't necessarily love, but we are at a point that we need to get this done, for our workers here. And I wanna invite you on next Wednesday, the 10th at 10 o'clock, we're gonna have our next bargaining session. I wanna invite you, if you wanna come and listen and observe, we'll talk about those things there too. You're welcome to come to observe and listen to what we have to say, at our office. And so I wanna welcome anyone from the council to come and listen to what we say, and we'll talk about these issues at that point. Like I said, is that we don't have enough time in the 3 minutes to go over these issues. And so I'm hoping that we can get agendized a future meeting to talk about this, and that, we're waiting for the economics. You guys passed your budget, and we still have no idea. So, thank you very much. I appreciate you all coming out tonight.
Thank you so very much. Next we have Michelle Hurd, followed by Truth. We are in the public comment portion of the meeting. I'm asking each and every council member to respect the public's time. I'll turn it over to Michelle Crew. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for the time. I do want to reiterate what Matt Strinzik just spoke about, whereas the financials I know were promised months ago back in March, and that's critical to move on. I want to speak as a person who was a steward. I worked for the city of San Diego as a grade 5 wastewater operator for 30 years. I was part of ASME 127 when I was working on retired, part of the retirees. But the fact of how you want to set up the steward limitations doesn't make sense. And it was read in your human relations, I guess the HR manual, personnel manual. Right now, it just says that stewards will be able to represent workers. There should not be a limit of it, and especially 40 hours is crazy, because that can be used up in one agreement, like what happened with the Cesar Chavez in 15 hours. So I really ask you to do it the way, it just feels very anti-labor, and anti-union, and it's not allowing people to actually get represented. So please reconsider that and take away any kind of cap. You pay people the same amount, let them represent their colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Next we have Truth, followed by Jacqueline.
All right, hello. Raising Cane's and the car wash package deal is coming in displacing businesses and homes. The landowner said he's willing to give people 6 months to help them leave. Well, first, let's get that in writing. And second, he should be reimbursing damages to all parties affected. Trying to find a new place to rent at this time is impossible at the same rate, and landlords may not even allow them to keep their pets. So some kind of reimbursement should be required. But it's all about sales taxes. Recall asked, what can the city do to spur more sales tax revenue for government's use? Answer, support business by ensuring a safe storefront area. Example, a great family business like Miss Donuts shouldn't have vagrants out front. So does the city have too many regulations on businesses? Are the permits too complex? Sounds so. Is the city involving local business in its city-sponsored events? Is the city encouraging people to shop local? Can they? Has the city advocated for a great store like Grocery Outlet to come here? Now I want to know, why does the city not have a code of conduct to properly deal with tardiness or no-shows from anyone on the council? That needs to be immediately addressed, otherwise people can expect continued negligence by those who refuse to do the job they get paid to do. We can't have council members who act like they're in the mafia. Last meeting, Allison said that both her and Nicole had participated in a county board of supervisors meeting to work together with the county to get a homeless shelter here in Lemon Grove. I also participated in that meeting, and I can confirm that they both waited all day to give one comment while I continued on with that torturous meeting. And lastly, July 4th is coming up, so from the unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America, quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, not change for light and transient causes. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations under absolute despotism, it is their right, their duty to throw off such government. The establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states, to prove this, let facts be submitted. Invasions on the rights of the people. The state exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. Obstructed administration of justice. A jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws. Imposing taxes on us without our consent. Abolishing our most valuable laws and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. We therefore declare that these United Colonies are free and independent states." End quote. See, not much has changed, so this holiday is not about eating and drinking, it's about independence and standing against injustice everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Next, we have Matthew Sheena. And this will complete our general public comment portion of the agenda. I'm so sorry about that. We have one more speaker, Jacqueline Clark, and then I will, go to Matthew Sheena.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Clark, and as you know, I serve as a planning commissioner for the city. First, I concur and stand in solidarity with the comments made by Manola, Matt, Michelle, and Teresa. Very important conversations that need to be had on behalf of our city and the residents who live here. Tonight, I'm speaking about the special project that I have been involved with. In 2023, I was invited to join and was participating in serving on the Community Advisory Board representing Lemon Grove for the County of San Diego's Community Asset Profile Project. This invitation came from a former county colleague who reached out to me for interest. I, along with other community members from other jurisdictions, met twice and were excited to represent our jurisdictions in a positive way. The 5 jurisdictions that were selected to be positively profiled are the City of Lemon Grove, City of San Marcos, City of Chula Vista, Mountain Empire with the Mountain Empire Unified School District, and Canto Neighborhoods Planning Area District 4, City of San Diego. This project is aimed at identifying the assets or strengths of 5 communities throughout the county. The project aims to create profiles of 5 communities that have been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic and that are historically underserved, Black, Indigenous, people of color, or rural. To highlight these communities' strengths and resilience, the jurisdictions were selected based first on the proposed research, then updated based on input from the CAB meeting. From those meetings, the current jurisdiction which was selected, Mountain Empire, Lemon Grove, Chula Vista, San Diego, and Canto Neighborhoods Planning Area, and Vista. Tonight, I'm here to ask for support for this important project so that I and other CAB members that will be added can proceed with creating a community profile for Lemon Grove. This program is using a unique lens by celebrating the assets in the region rather than focusing on deficits. I look forward to hearing your thoughts and to learn if we have your support. Please do let me know if you have any questions. And the reason why I bring this forward, because I have it on good word that the city of Lemon Grove was pulling out by the decision of the city manager. And I think it's very unfair to me first, as a community member, and then to the community as a whole. The city manager cannot just make rash decisions based off of whatever criteria, and then I was never informed. And I found this out from a good source, and I'm here tonight to say that this is something that should go forward, and as a matter of fact, I'm telling you that I am going to move it forward with or without the city's support. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And next we have Matthew, Sheena, and this will complete the public comment portion of the meeting. And then, if there are any comments from staff, staff will provide those comments, before we move on with the agenda.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here again to reiterate my father's comments. We have a family business here in Lemon Grove, Sportsman's Pub. We're requesting guidance and approval and consideration of allowing us to upgrade our business, upgrade the area, and allow us to go from a beer and wine license to potentially a beer, wine, liquor license. We think that it's going to be a benefit to the city, creating additional revenues. It's going to improve the business, and I think it's going to benefit all parties involved. So we would request that this matter be agendized so we can get further guidance, get some feedback, and be able to ask questions and get your input on this potential project. So I will leave it at that, and I would again ask you guys to consider it, to potentially agendize it so that we can discuss this in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And so I will check with staff to see if there are any comments.
So just on the couple of items, Mr. Wood, your message was, sent on to the public works staff, and I know they took care of that issue, and they turned off the water, and they are looking for the part that needs to happen. Apparently someone hit it and broke whatever part that had the water flowing. Ms. Roziak, as it stands, if you submit a formalized proposal with the nonprofit ID, and we will take a look at it. I've not yet received a proposal from you in writing.
We've never been told that you wanted one.
There has been multiple times that I have told you that in writing. And second of all, Ms. Clark, I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what county proposal it is. So I don't know what I pulled back, because I have no idea what you're talking about. So perhaps after this meeting, if you're still here, you can share with me what this is about, so I can understand. I have not had any conversations with the county about pulling anything back on any program at all. And then to the two gentlemen that have the Sportsman Pub, my recommendation is to actually start with city staff and with the planning counter. I've asked the community development manager if we haven't even an application pending of you looking for a full liquor license. Although he hasn't gotten back to me, that is not something that I've been told. So that's probably the first place to start, because if it comes to this body, they will make the ultimate ruling for you all, and if we do that beforehand, we're not gonna have an appeal body for them to listen to. They've already made the ruling. So I think you should start with the planning department first, if you have not already.
Thank you so very much. I believe that, some of the council members had some follow-up comments that they wanted to share. I'll start with, Councilmember Barron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I actually just wanted to offer support for somebody who gave a who made a public comment, Mr. Matt Kostrinsky. He brought up the fact that the mayor has authority to grant people more time to speak, being that Matt is speaking on behalf of our public works employees who are extremely important for the health of this city. I would like to support his ask and would ask you if you support his ask for more time, maybe 3 minutes today. And also, I'd also like to ask my council colleagues if, pardon me, if you guys would support agendizing this topic, because every time, the longer it takes for the city to negotiate with the public works employees, the more money the taxpayers, all these people who are sitting here who live in the city of Lemon Grove, have to pay an attorney's costs and fees. It's just, the longer it's dragged out, the more it costs the public. So it behooves us to tackle this quickly. So, to ask, one is of the mayor, would you grant him another 3 minutes today? And then the other ask is of my council colleagues, if you guys would agree to agendize having Mr. Kostrinsky on the agenda so that he can do a presentation, so that we can kind of hurry or speed things along in a more timely fashion.
I see Councilmember Snow.
So I'll have 5 things. The first item is I don't think 3 minutes will cut it even at this meeting, but I think that since there is a July 10th meeting that's coming up, an update from AXME would be wonderful, and I support Councilmember LeBaron's request that we set aside time for the agenda at the following meeting after the July 10th. To allow ASME Local 127 to do a presentation. So that's, the second item is I would like to agendize traffic calming measures on Central Avenue. It's been something that has been increasingly a cause for worry. We had the recent accident, and we're also talking about when that business comes online right at the corner of Federal and Central, it's gonna increase traffic, and I think traffic calming measures are appropriate at this time, and I think that there are ways to work with the fire department to make sure our emergency and safety vehicles can navigate that process. For my third issue, I would like to agendize a discussion about issuing a call for requests for proposals regarding homeless services. We heard one possible option, which would be to open up the promenade bathrooms. We can include that in the discussion. Also, other possible options include safe parking sites, additional homeless services and outreach services, but we really have to address homelessness in our community, and I know things come at a cost, and I was one of the people who was a proponent for fixing the senior center. But when we have what Ms. Rosiak told us was 293 homeless people in our community, that's something that we cannot overlook. So we really need to focus on that. The next issue is I would like more information about what Ms. Clark is talking about. It's something that I'm not familiar with, so if I would like to agendize a presentation from her so that we have better understanding of what it is that's going on at the county level. And finally, for the application process, I appreciate staff explaining to them the proper procedure. I would encourage them to follow through with that. And then also we have, if the staff can provide resources like the ADA, SB, the Small Business Association, and East County EDC to help them navigate this process. Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember LeBaron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So as we all just heard, there's 2 council members that are in support of agendizing some of the things that the public has brought forward. This is actually exactly how our government should work. This is exactly what should happen. People should come up here, leave their public comment, and then us as their representatives be able to support them if we feel so inclined. I kind of find it a little curious that it's taking election season for us to start agendizing things that people are bringing forward. However, this is what's supposed to happen. There was a couple things that Councilmember Snow supported, and I just want us to make sure that we're getting this all in concrete so we can move forward with some actionable steps. I propose that we agendize Matt Kostrinsky, that he give a presentation at a latter time. That was supported by Councilmember Snow, I believe. So there's two council members right here on the record who are asking that we grant Mr. Kostrinsky some time to be agendized at a upcoming meeting. Is that going to be agendized? Do we need to vote on that right now? How does this work, Madam Mayor?
So, what I will do is, and I just wanted to check with Mendoza to see if there were any comments that you wanted to provide at this time before I proceed with staff.
I wasn't done yet.
Oh, you may proceed.
Thank you. So there was that, there's that one. We have two council members who would like to agendize Mr. Kostrinsky at a further time. My understanding, it only takes two council members for us to agendize something. You have the two, me and Allison. We also, so Allison brought up wanting to agendize traffic calming measures on Central. I'm 100% in support of that. Like I said, I'm curious, well, there was an accident that just happened. This is something that I have asked over and over and over and over again since I got elected, that we please agendize this. I'm happy that you are now bringing this up come election time. Perfect, I'll support it. Let's please agendize traffic calming measures on Central. This is long overdue. We got two council members on board with that. And then she also brought up agendizing bathrooms at the promenade, offering support for a woman who has come before us so many times I can't even count, asking the same exact thing. I am going to support, wanting to support this resident and putting this on the agenda. Councilmember Snow said that she would support it, I would support it. That makes two council members. So we have at least two council members who supporting the public's desires to be agendized. And I would like to ask that we please give the public the opportunity to be heard and agendized so that we can talk about the public's business during the public's time, which is here at these meetings.
I think the only other thing they brought up, was, how do you agendize that, or that's just, request for,
Request for proposal.
I don't know, have that on the agenda. I think that as well.
Jen, can you say that again, because we heard none of it?
I support, putting out a request for proposal for, homeless services in Lemon Grove.
As we do not have any other comments, I'll turn this over to staff to weigh in on the 5 items that were brought forward. One was contract negotiations, that, they want to agendize union contract negotiations as a agenda item, for council, and that's being brought forward by Snow and LeBaron. Traffic calming measures on Central, being brought forward by Snow and LeBaron. A discussion regarding a RFP for homeless services, specifically, looking at the bathrooms at the promenade, and other homeless services from what I can gather. But also too, Councilmember Snow mentioned, that she would like more info, perhaps a presentation on what's going on with the county, related to her public comments. And then, proper procedures for, businesses as it relates to a liquor license, and that's related to the comments that were shared here tonight by a business owner. And so those two were also, elevated by Councilmember Snow. So, I'll ask staff to weigh in on those requests.
In terms of the procedure for agendizing any matter, it takes two in support, not particularly a motion and a second, but just support of two. So I heard the three items that had support of two of the members, which is support for the update from the labor negotiator, which is a presentation. It's not coming before the body for a vote. On that specific item, we did just have a closed session on that. We have a team of negotiators that are moving forward. Their next meeting is on Wednesday of next week. I would encourage the council to consider having a closed session as opposed to having a formal presentation from the body that we are negotiating with, and that you hear from our team before you make a final decision on agendizing that matter in the public. But however, that being said, I heard that you want a presentation from us. And so if that's the will of the two, we will move forward in that direction. With regard to the second one, traffic calming measures on Central, and the third, which is the discussion on homeless services and potential solutions, which could include an RFP for services as you discuss and decide what those services might be. I assume there's a plethora of items that you might choose from, that a discussion be brought back to the council for consideration. So those are the three that I heard. And unless there is a change, then those will be agendized in the future.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza?
Could we ask, Ms. Clark to do a presentation? I mean, not right now, with some, preparation on, the program she's been participating in?
If you have the support of two to have her do a presentation.
I think that would include Councilmember Snow and myself.
Okay.
Just a short presentation, before a meeting. Just so we're all aware of it.
We'll have staff connect with Ms. Clark.
Thank you.
And I know that there was one other on the list, which was, proper procedure for, businesses to obtain a, liquor license. And so, any comments on, that one?
I didn't hear a second for that. I think the appropriate action is for, the concerned business owner to come into City Hall or to connect with staff, and we will guide them in the right direction in terms of how to get a liquor license and hopefully a CUP application.
Thank you so very much. And so, staff has weighed in regarding the request of council. And so now we will move, Councilmember LeBaron.
I just wanna be clear so that we're being productive, agendizing a presentation, or Matt Kostrinski giving a presentation. I mean, we're all here, so I want there to be all these witnesses here, that we're gonna have them do a presentation, not next year, not in 3 months or 4 months, but we're going to actually put like a finite time when this presentation is gonna happen, and I would like to ask that this be done at our next city council meeting, that he be allowed to present for, I don't know what we think is reasonable, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I don't know, but that he be allowed to present at our July 16th city council meeting. Do I have support from anybody, and can we talk about how long we're gonna grant him, so he knows?
So I'll ask our city attorney to, weigh in again and repeat, what was shared regarding the next steps as it relates to contract negotiations as a platform.
I hear support from two members for a presentation from the labor negotiator. So moving forward, I hear the request is meeting the next meeting in July. I would look to the city manager because she manages the forward agenda to be sure that there's time for that. And that there's no other presenters that, get bumped off as a result. If that's, and I heard that from Councilmember Snow as well, so I think like the next meeting in July would be appropriate. Typically, presentations last 10 to 15 minutes.
I hope that answers your questions. And with that said, we will move on to our consent calendar. Do I have a motion to, thank you. We actually have speakers tonight for our consent calendar, but before we get to a motion, I will call on the speakers. I'll start with, item 1A, and that is truth.
Hey, back again to disrupt the status quo, who wants to just pass a consent without talking about it? That's no fun. Great, item 1A. Rather than just have the entire reading of an ordinance or resolution be completely waived, I always prefer to hear a one-line summary of them read aloud of the whole, so the whole class to know what we're talking about for transparency's sake. However, especially because I just heard someone agree with me, I would also accept instead Leona reading at least one entire resolution or ordinance in its entirety instead. Seems like a fair punishment for always being late or absent. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, and I have you for item 1C as well. And so your comments can be shared for item 1C. Our city clerk will talk you for the comments, but I also have a speaker slip for you for 1E. So once you're finished with your comments, then you can go directly into 1E.
Item 1C for the May 21st minutes. The meeting started only 3 minutes late with all 5 members present, so I have to give gold stars all around, or at least one, because I only got one. Now, it's not a requirement, but it'd be nice if there was a one-line description of what each speaker spoke about during non-agenda public comment. I think I have a recurring pattern here with our requests. For item 2, Allison recused herself, but Cliff still got his word on TV, although I do enjoy a harmless fine line at the meetings as well. For the June 25th minutes, it seems like RuPaul has a thing about starting at 6:03 p.m. Although I'm not a stickler for time, I just find it interesting. I am, however, a stickler about lateness. The minutes say, Hot Mess Leona was late for the millionth time by 14 minutes. Everybody knows it was because she was on her phone outside. Everybody saw the video. Well, someone I know insists on 10 push-ups for every minute late. I consider that a more than fair punishment. Could be a good shake too. Although I'm not trying to pull in the lemon grove, and I'm just trying to make lemonade out of Leona lemons. Thank you. And item 1F.
Moving on to item 1F, you may proceed.
Thank you. Officially moving on. Manola Clark, Manson to the Planning Commission. We got to hear her earlier. That was great, because I don't like to talk about mystery people, mystery to me anyways. She has a lot of government experience, it seems, not necessarily planning expertise, but I would expect collaboration skills and maybe some knowledge about how meetings are actually supposed to work. She worked with San Diego Workforce Partnership and contributed to the county's nonsense under Nathan Flesher. I'm not a fan of that. Manola is also with the Mental Health Contractors Association of San Diego County. She ran for Democratic Central Committee and is a hard pusher of what I consider to be racist DEI agendas. Manola belongs to Soar Optimist Lemon Grove. Soar Optimist International works with the Communist-founded United Nations, who has goals of targeting girls with propaganda to get them to stop having babies by working. And that is directly from the United Nations Population Fund website. I also don't consider their social sustainable development goals of controlling every resource on earth, including people, to be anything worth supporting either. Although I understand that many people don't understand how a pyramid scheme works when they're operating at the bottom levels of it and only seeing the positive aspects on the small levels. And that's why I also have to ask if Jennifer has any inherent bias towards Manola, since she also belongs to Soar Optimist. Could be conflict of interest, ideological conflict of interest, not financial, of course. Luckily for everybody, only financial is covered under the conflict of interest codes. I'd like to change that. But since Manola Clark Manson is the only person who actually applied to the Planning Commission, and she did, I thought, do some great advocating earlier, congratulations, well earned on no competition. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Next, we have, Michelle Curry for item 1F.
Michelle, you're up.
If anyone has consent, I just wanted to speak on behalf of Manola Clark. I think she will be an amazing, addition to any of the committees. She serves this community by giving out food, there's more, in so many other ways, throttles, et cetera, in the concerts. I just, appreciate her, thoughtfulness to be put on the planning commission, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, and, the final speaker, for the consent calendar is Manola Clark Manson.
I just wanted to say a few things because there was no interview and people may have wanted to say something and I wanted to hear from me. So I'm Manola Clark Manson, and people who have watched the city council meetings on Facebook or have come to our meetings know I'm someone who will speak up on what I think is important and to address, and I'm willing to ask hard questions. What you may not know is I'm also willing to respond to the hard questions asked of me. I've been responsible for representing and being the voice for those people who often are unable to speak in forums such as this. And I see my role here beyond responsibility written in the task and responsibility of the commissioner to be that voice. A short summary of my work, you've seen my resume. I have had over 30 years in workforce development, helping people succeed in obtaining positions, staying in positions, and growing in their careers. Majority of my work has been health and human services and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And because of those roles, I sat in leadership positions and on committees and organizations that influence and impact the services within the county. And more importantly, I've been able to help people come to consensus on very difficult conversations or very difficult topics. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And, before we get to the motion, I just wanted to check, see if there are, any comments regarding.
If you want to pull items, you can make a motion to pull an item from the consent calendar if you would like to discuss it. Otherwise, the consent calendar is adopted all at once, and that's why we don't discuss the consent calendar.
Thank you so very much. I just wanted to give, folks an opportunity to say a few words, but by law, I can't. So, I'll just, I'll call on Councilmember O'Meara.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to say that actually, Ms. Truth here brings up something that I agree with, and that's that it is beneficial when we just give a little one-liner about what's on the consent calendar. Oftentimes communities or cities.
I'm so sorry, Councilmember LeBaron, as per the direction of our city attorney, we cannot comment on the consent agenda. I actually wanted to provide that opportunity, but per law, I'm unable to do so. So what we can do, is either pull an item per the city attorney, or we can move forward with a motion. Those are our only two options.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll wrap up my thoughts. Basically, I guess, bottom line, I can say, keep us accountable, Truth. Thanks for being here.
I'll move approval of the consent calendar.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. I will ask our city clerk to call the roll.
The motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza with a second by Councilmember Snow to approve the consent calendar. I will now conduct the roll to call on the record. Councilmember Gastil, absent. Councilmember LeBaron,
Councilmember LeBaron, no.
Councilmember Snow,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza,
Aye.
Mayor Vasquez.
Aye.
Motion carries on a vote of 3-1-1.
Thank you so very much. The next item on the agenda is item number 2, which is a public hearing and resolution authorizing sewer service charges for the Lemon Grove Sanitation District to be collected on the San Diego County property tax roll for fiscal year 2024-2025. I'll ask our city clerk, have all of the notices required by law, have those been given? And, I'd like to know if the complete file of exhibits, correspondence, and other documents, have those been provided?
Madam Mayor, all notices as required by law have been given, and the complete file of exhibits, correspondence, and other documents have been provided.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to our city attorney to ask council if they have any disclosures, conflicts of interest, related to this particular item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would ask the city council to disclose any conflicts of interest at this time or any ex parte communications, beginning with Councilmember LeBaron.
I have nothing to discuss.
Councilmember Snow?
I have no conflicts of interest. I did have, some communications previously, with businesses that had been impacted by the increase, but largely their issues were resolved, and that doesn't present any problems.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza? And Mayor Vasquez?
I do not have any.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now open the public hearing, and I'll turn this over to Izzy Marquia, who is our Public Works Director, to present the staff report.
Good evening, Chair and members of the District Board. Tonight's public hearing is to seek the Board's approval authorizing sewer service charges for Lemon Grove Sanitation District to be collected on the San Diego property tax roll for fiscal year 2024-2025. Next slide, please. Over the past 2 months, staff has come before the Board on various sewer-related items, and so I wanted to take a brief moment to discuss the purposes of those items and compare them to what we're seeking from the Board this evening. On May 21st, 2024, the Board heard a district rate analysis, and at this meeting, the Board received a report from staff that analyzed the potential of a reduction in proposed sewer rates. And at this board meeting, the board gave staff direction to proceed with a 0% increase in rates as opposed to the scheduled 3% that was authorized by the 5-year sewer rate study. Consequently, on June 4th, 2024, the board held a meeting to consider the annual engineer's report and set a public hearing, which is why we're here this evening. At this board meeting, the board approved the engineer's report, which detailed the sewer service charges for fiscal year 24-25, and set the public hearing to authorize the submittal of sewer service charges to the San Diego County Auditor and Controller for the inclusion on the upcoming tax roll. At the same meeting, the board heard the introduction of ordinance number 34, which established the rates and methods for calculating the annual sewage charges for fiscal year 24-25. Following that meeting on June 18th, the board heard the second reading of ordinance number 34. And at this time, the board approved the ordinance as well as its implementation. Tonight's public hearing, which is the second half of the engineer's report process, is to authorize the collection of sewer service charges. Upon filing of this sewer service charge report, which is attached to the agenda report, a public hearing was scheduled for this evening to provide the public with an opportunity to provide comments with the proposed no increase in sewer rates. Next slide, please. In order to levy and collect sewer service charges adopted by the board, the California Health and Safety Code requires the filing of a sewer service charge report, again, which is attached to your agenda report. The sewer service charge report provides a list of each parcel within the district and its corresponding applicable service charge. If approved this evening, the parcels and assessments as outlined in attachment C of your agenda report will be filed with the county auditor and controller by August 10th for the levy and collection of sewer service charges. Next slide, please. Just as a recap, the fiscal year 2024-2025 rates, there are no rate increases to be implemented. So the rate will be $655.20 for single-family residents, along with the base charge for commercial establishments. The overall rate for commercial establishments will vary depending on the overall consumption, and they will be assessed a particular rate depending on the amount of water that they use, over 100 cubic feet per month, above that initial baseline. Next slide, please. This slide is a summary of the assessments to be collected on this year's property tax roll. Again, overall, there's 6,911 parcels impacted by the sewer service, which totals 9,170.21 benefit units, and the district is collecting 8,052,866.74, and those amounts will be sent to the county auditor and controller for collection for the upcoming property tax. Next slide. With that, staff's recommendation is to conduct a public hearing, receive public comment, make finding regarding the number of protests received, and adopt a resolution approving the fiscal year 24-25 sewer service charge reports and ordering the transmission of charges to the San Diego County Auditor and Controller for collection. And I don't believe we received any protests with regards, a majority protest for this item. And that concludes staff's comments, and I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you so very much. Before we move forward with our questions, I do have one speaker slip here, and the speaker slip is for Truth.
That was a really fun presentation. Is this mic on? There we go. All right, really fun presentation. I don't know if anyone was listening. They should have, because apparently the prices are gonna be jacked up and we're all gonna say, oh, it's inflation. What are you gonna do, right? $655 per equivalent dwelling unit for occupied residential properties and over 58 per EDU for vacant residential properties. Occupied commercial base charges over $655, going up by $82 in 2027. Vacant commercial over 80. Annual maintenance cost is $14.7 million. Most of that, $13 million is for facilities. So there you go. In case anyone wasn't listening, I told you the prices. But I really want to know who read all 380 pages of the report. If you did, bonus points for you. And, but I did actually learn something, because Izzy, you said something about majority protest. I never heard that before in my life. Because I've read where you have to file a protest if you're a resident. But then now I heard there's majority protest. So if you have a minority protest, it doesn't mean anything. I guess that's how it goes. All right, thank you.
Thank you so very much, and that completes our speaker slips. I'll check with staff to see if you wanted to provide clarity regarding the question.
So the question regarding majority protests, so for the Prop 218, if the district receives 51% of the 6,900 parcels, so that would be, can't do math on the fly now, but 3,450. 3451 parcels. If we receive 3451 parcels, let's just say, for example, then the board, and Kristen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if we receive the majority protest, then the board cannot implement the rate increase. But because we did not receive a majority protest, the board can consider whether or not to approve the sewer rate increase.
That's correct. And we didn't, I want to confirm, you said you think we didn't receive any protests. And I want to confirm with the clerk that we did not actually receive any protests. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you so very much. So, we will have 2 rounds of questions. There'll be 2 questions per round, and in the second round, council members will be able to provide their comments as well. So I'll start with round 1, with Councilmember Snow.
For clarity and for the community, for residential sewer rates, can you tell us what the percentage increase is from last year's rates?
0%.
Just good news, wasn't jacked up. Anything in, like, for once, inflation, we beat it. Other than that, we've discussed the sewer rates, the other times it's come up. I'm in support of this. I think the 0% interest rate, or increase, makes sense when so many other things are going up, so, it's great that we are able to handle this within the current, rates that we had this last year. It's also an indication that there were no protests this time around, particularly from the commercial folks, because that was what I was most concerned with last year when we first implemented this. And so I just wanted to re-verify that even from the commercial side, we have not received any protests. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you, Councilmember LeBaron. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have any questions. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
The only question I have is, so people pay their property tax, goes to the county, and we send this to the county so they know which parcels to, charge and how much to charge. And then, does the county just write us a big check? How do we get the money back from the county?
So to get your first part of the question, yes. And then the second part is, we get the revenue, in 2 installments that correspond with the collection of the property tax. So, typically around January, and then again in, April.
And we all know there's people out there who don't pay their property taxes, or can't afford to pay them, or pay them late. So does money continue to trickle in throughout the year?
It does not, it gets remitted, as back payment, when a payment is made.
So we just get the 2 payments, but sometimes those 2 payments include some back.
Correct. And we get an accounting from the county of what accounts have been paid, so we can reconcile that if there's any issues.
Okay, so this $8 million figure is if everybody pays their.
Absolutely. So if everybody pays their sewer charge that's on their property tax bills, and they pay them in the 2 tranches that you do property tax bills, you will get the full $8 million. In our experience, not everybody pays their full sewer rate, or pays a portion of their property tax.
Okay, all right, I was just curious about that.
Thank you. I do not have any questions at this time, so I'll move forward to the second round of questions, and I'll start with Councilmember Snow.
I don't have any additional questions. I just wanted to point out that during the last round, when we decided last year to switch over for the commercial departments, commercial buildings, that we had decided to move to a more fair and equitable way of assessing these based on the amount of water usage, because assumingly the water goes into the sewer system. And then we also made sure that there was an appeal process for commercial entities that felt like their amounts went up too high. So we had some inquiries this last year from a car wash and from a laundromat, certain all that included a laundromat. And so I'm happy that we are able to resolve those issues. Do we still have outstanding issues to date, or is this working?
It is working as implemented.
So I am happy to support this, and I would like to move that as we have conducted the public hearing and received public comment, and making the finding that we've received
Councilmember
zero.
Snow, I'm sorry to interrupt, we have to close the public hearing first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I just wanted to verify, that you do not have any other comments or questions. Thank you, Councilmember LeBaron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing to add, no questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
No further questions. And I'll move that we close the public hearing.
Yes, we have a motion to close the public hearing. I'll go ahead and second that and ask, the city clerk to call the roll.
The motion was made by Vice Chair Mendoza with a second by Chair Vasquez to close the public hearing. I'll now conduct the roll to call the record. Director Castillo, absent. Director Snow,
Aye.
Director LeBaron,
Aye.
Vice Chair Mendoza,
Aye.
Chair Vasquez.
Aye.
Motion carries on a vote of 4-0-1.
Thank you so very much. And now we will move forward, to a second round of questions. You'll have 2 questions, per round, and we have 2. And then in the second round, you will be able to provide, final comments as well. I'll start with Councilmember Snow.
I have no further comments, and now I would like to note that we have conducted the public hearing and received public comment, that we make the finding that we have received 0 protests, and that we would adopt a resolution approving the fiscal year 2024-2025 sewer service charge report, and ordering the transmission of charges to the San Diego County Auditor and Controller for collection.
Thank you so very much, and I'll, move forward to Councilmember LeBaron.
Councilmember LeBaron, I'd like to vote, and I'm gonna vote no.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you so very much. And so, we're actually, asking questions, and do you have any other comments that you want to provide now? Not this time? Okay, so I'll move on to Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
I just second.
I wanted to check to see if you had any comments, and so, thank you so very much. With no additional comments and a motion and a second, I believe we will forego that second round of questions. And what I'll do is I'll provide a few comments regarding this particular agenda item. You know, it's important that, you know, we make sure that the funding is collected, and that we respond in a timely manner to the County of San Diego sustainable so that the funds are collected on the property tax roll. Ensuring that our sanitation services are reliable, efficient, and sustainable is really critical to the well-being of our communities. And by authorizing these charges to be collected, and just know that this year we're collecting zero, but making sure that we are collecting, the funds on the tax roll, it's important. And, you know, we're doing it in the most cost-effective and efficient way. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there, and just know that, proper sanitation is truly the foundation to our public health, our environmental protection, and the overall quality of life here in Living Grove. And I believe that this resolution truly reflects our commitment to upholding the standards and investing in our future. So we do have the motion and we have the second. I'll ask our city clerk to call the roll.
The motion was made by Director Snow, with a second by Vice Chair Mendoza. I'll conduct the roll to call on the record. Director Gastil. Absent. Director Snow.
Aye.
Director LeBaron.
Councilmember LeBaron, no.
Vice Chair Mendoza.
Aye.
Chair Vasquez.
Aye.
The motion carries on a vote of 3-1-1.
Thank you so very much. Item number 3 is the presidential general election, Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. I'll turn this over to our city clerk, to present our staff report.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, and city management. I am happy to present tonight's report to council, item number 3, entitled Presidential General Election, Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. Before I begin, I would like to note that following the posting of tonight's agenda meeting packet, there are a few errors I would like to correct and direct your attention to before I begin my presentation. On page 3 of the staff report, under candidate statements, paragraph 2, the city clerk's office received notification from the county ROV's office that the estimated cost for our candidate statement is $1,600, and that dollar amount is reflected correctly in the second sentence of paragraph 2. However, within that paragraph, there is a $1,500 amount that should be striked out and replaced with $1,600. That is the only correction that I have to tonight's report. Now, before I begin my presentation, very briefly, here are the topic areas that I am going to be covering tonight. I'm going to provide the council with some background information. I will briefly discuss the 3 resolutions on tonight's agenda. The first one is the call for the general municipal election. The second resolution is a consolidation of general municipal election with the presidential election and requesting services from the county ROV's office. And then I will briefly share my role here as the local elections official. And finally, the last resolution for the council's consideration is establishing regulations for candidate statements. And then, of course, I will be happy to take questions from council, and then I will provide my recommendation. So, background information. November 2024, the terms of the office for Mayor Rafael Vasquez, Councilmember George Gastil, Councilmember Leonardo LeBaron will expire. As a result, an election is required for the purpose of electing 3 members to the City Council. The term for each seat, and as displayed on this slide deck, shall be 4 years, from November 2024 to November 2028. Tonight's presentation and resolutions will provide the basis for moving this process forward. For the upcoming presidential general municipal election for the city of Lemon Grove on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, where registered voters will be able to vote. I ran a report today, and it is dated July 1, 2024, from the county ROV's website that indicated there are 16,053 registered voters within the city of Lemon Grove. So the number in the staff report differs from what I am providing you tonight. It is an exciting time for all of us. I encourage residents who are not already registered to vote or have a need to update your voter registration information to please pick up a voter registration card at City Hall. Additional information on how to register to vote can be found on the county ROV's website and also on the City of Lemon Grove's website. In order to conduct its municipal election, City Council is required by state law, Elections Code 10403, to adopt a resolution containing the order for election and services no later than Friday, August 9, 2024, or 88 days prior to the election. Historically, the city has requested and has consolidated its municipal election with the county ROV's office, whose office has a skill set, experience, and technologies to assist the city and other public agencies to include cities, special districts, school districts, which is significantly less expensive than the city conducting its own standalone election. The city clerk serves as the local elections official, and in just a few more slides, you will see what duties and responsibilities that entails for both the county ROV's office and as your local election official. The first resolution contained in your staff report and exhibits, and for your consideration tonight, is the calling for and holding of a general municipal election to be held on Tuesday, November 5th for the following offices: 1 mayoral seat and 2 city council seats to serve a full term of 4 years. Additionally, the resolution provides council direction to the elections official, me, the city clerk, to work with and coordinate with the county ROV and furnish any and all required written material their office may need to properly and lawfully conduct the election. Finally, section 7 of the resolution includes language that resolves a tie vote. As noted in section 7 of the resolution, and in this instance, the city council would summon candidates who receive an equal number of votes to appear before them at a date/time and place designated by city council. The city council would then resolve the tie vote by law by selecting a person to either toss a coin or by placing each candidate's name in an unmarked sealed envelope, drawing the envelope and reading the name of the winning candidate. This method is cost effective for the city, as opposed to conducting a special election to determine the winner for the contested seat. The second resolution is a consolidation of the municipal election with the presidential election and requesting services from the county ROV's office. Now, why would the city want to consolidate its election with the county ROV's office? It is cost effective, and the county's ROV staff has the skill set, resources, and technology and experience. It involves staff time from the county's office, special equipment, skills associated with printing, duplicating, mailing, establishing poll locations, hiring and training poll workers, canvassing, and certifying ballots and discharging other tasks associated with the election. Make this arrangement the most cost-effective option. As listed on this slide here, the county ROV's office reviews and verifies absentee voter signature and applications, conducts registered voter verifications, provide the city of Lemon Grove with precinct data, and canvassing the election, printing and supplying ballots for the election, and administering the city's general municipal election. As your local elections official, I will continue to act as that official and be responsible for processing nomination documents and candidate statements, conducting research and responding to inquiries from candidates and the public regarding the candidacy and other election materials, and I will continue to serve as the city's filing officer for state-mandated Fair Political Practices Commission campaign disclosure filings. This year, the candidate nomination period, candidates will be able to procure or obtain nomination documents from my office during the nomination period from July 15 through August 9 by appointment only. Now, if any eligible incumbent does not file for re-election by August 9, the period is automatically extended to 5 calendar days per the elections code. And that date is Wednesday, August 14, 2024. During this period, only non-incumbents may file for nomination. Finally, the last resolution in tonight's packet is pertaining to establishing regulations for candidate statements. Each candidate for elective office has the option to prepare a candidate statement to be printed in the voter information guide, which is mailed to all registered voters eligible to vote. The candidate statement is designed to familiarize voters with candidates' qualifications for the office they are seeking. Tonight's resolution establishes the length, the content of the statement to include the name, age, occupation, and a brief description of no more than 200 words on the candidate's education and qualifications. Additionally, there is a foreign language policy built into the resolution, and it's consistent with the Federal Voting Rights Act, that the statements, candidate statements, will be translated into all languages required by our county ROV's office to include Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, and Tagalog. For the November 5th, 2024 municipal election, the county has provided an estimated cost of $1,600 to include a candidate statement in the voter information guide. The cost will be required upfront or in advance. Of course, they can submit paperwork alleging that they are indigent or are unable to pay in advance the requisite fee for submitting a candidate statement. Details of that process are covered in Elections Code 13309. If the final cost of the statement is less, candidates will be issued a refund for the difference. If the cost is more, candidates will be charged for the additional cost. The actual cost to each candidate will not be known until we get closer to the election or sometime after the municipal general election. With that, I will turn to staff's recommendation, and those are the 3 resolutions, and they're listed there. Turn it over to the mayor.
Thank you so very much. So, just for clarification here, with this particular agenda item, we have 3 separate resolutions that we need to adopt. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you so very much. Before I get to questions and comments, we do have 1 speaker slip here, and that is Truth.
Hey there, isn't it weird, like, not a lot of people talking about this? This is really important. It's gonna, if people complain about who's on the council, and then they're not interested in talking about the voting, I find that ironic. Item says it's gonna cost $60,000 to $90,000 for 1 election. Why the 30,000 discrepancy? The county charges a candidate $1,600 deposit. Apparently, if the real cost is $1,600, not $1,500, the candidate gets a partial refund. If it's more, they pay for it. Sounds like a junk world. Do you think we should just waive the fee altogether? That could be easily a waived county fee. No. Fun fact about the registered voters, all paper ballots go through a digital machine. There's also something called emergency ballots, although I have no idea what that actually is, and I don't think they do either. Because why would you need that? You just give another word. You wouldn't need an emergency ballot. There's also been instances of people not registered to vote being able to still vote, not having to sign in, can still vote. No general confirmation on voter eligibility before voting, they can still vote. And of course, the usual thousands of dead people still voting. I wonder if we have a problem. And if you try to ask ROV about the specifics about these topics, they're not very good at answering questions. If you can even get a meeting or a phone call with anybody. Anyways, besides saving money, cities like combining, consolidating, and syncing the city elections with presidential elections because it tends to encourage or inspire more people to get out and vote. And I find that strange because you got the least inspiring candidates that have ever existed since Al Gore and John Kerry. Also strange because the Constitution of the United States of America states very clearly that the people cannot directly vote for the president. They can only vote for electors who then select a president, and they can literally choose any American walking the country if they want, not just the ones we see presented on the news. On the local level, where the real power is actually at, I do hope for a tie vote or a special runoff election just for some more fun and drama. A special runoff election would really solidify who people want, unless the vote was the same the second time, then it'd be a waste of money. For the tie vote broken by lot, instead of tossing a coin, drawing straws, or drawing from a hat or an envelope, which could be rigged, I recommend rock, paper, scissors. No denying who lost that, and it adds more bragging rights. You know what politics is all about anyways? After this November's local election, which is way more important, for many reasons, but mostly because it's something that the Constitution guarantees we can actually choose. We've got Nicole versus Allison, Liana maybe versus herself, and I have no idea who's running against George because I don't actually follow politics at any level. That doesn't mean I don't vote, though. I don't want you to vote. But I'm looking forward to the political theater, posturing, and grandstanding to continue to November 5th. Always fun. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And so, I just wanna check to see if our city clerk wanted to provide clarification regarding the, 16. There was a question about the $16,000. $1,600. Yes.
Yeah, so in drafting this report, I reached out to the county ROV's office for a cost estimate for candidate statements. And they got back to me with that $1,600 figure.
Okay, thank you so very much. And so I'll move forward to our rounds of questions. We have two questions per round, and then in the second round, we will be able to provide comments as well, starting with Councilmember Sam.
One thing, well, first of all, I believe this is Mr. Pablo's first presentation, and just snaps and claps. Excellent presentation. I feel like you covered everything that was really important for us and pulled it out, the other issues in the staff report. So I appreciate the careful preparation that this took and the groundwork that you laid in order to bring this before us. So I don't have any questions at this time. $1,600 still seems like a lot of money for a candidate statement. I think that's where it was in 2022 as well. But that's the estimate that we get from the ROV, then we gotta live with it.
And thank you so very much, Councilmember LeBaron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a question about number 3, adopt a resolution establishing regulations for candidate statements. The city's proposing that we require the candidates put their age and their, and what they do for a living. Because to my knowledge, I don't think age was required. Like when I ran in 2020, I don't think I had to put my age on there. Is that something that we're changing now?
Councilmember LeBaron, I would take a look into it, but I believe that was past practice, and if I'm incorrect, I'll work through our city attorney.
And my comment would be that we not require that somebody has to put their age on there. Yeah.
I believe that's a requirement of the election code. It's cited in the resolution. We're only requiring what state law requires, so we're not going over and beyond or being more specific than what's required by state law.
Wait, so state law does require that we put our age?
In the elections code.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
I have no questions.
Thank you so very much, and I will do one more round of questions, but also you can provide your comments as well, starting with Councilmember Snow.
One thing that I wanted to echo from, our city clerk's presentation was the need to register to vote. We really have to get the vote out. Our vote matters. We've seen elections in our sister city, next door, La Mesa, where the vote count was 12. The difference between who won and who didn't was 12 votes. Your vote in these types of elections really matters. I, in the back of my car, carry around a stack of voter registration. If you have friends, family members, or yourself who hasn't registered yet, now is the time to really get active more than anything. We have actually pretty high participation in the last presidential elections, but still 12,000 is usually about where we fall, and 12,000 is less than half of our community participating in who they want to lead this country, the city, the county, and so we really need to get increased participation. We need everybody's input. We become a stronger community, a stronger nation, when everybody participates in that process. So I highly encourage, following through with our clerk's recommendation that people register, not just register, but vote, and then vote early, because you can. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. I'll turn it over to our city attorney.
Thank you so much. We looked at the elections code, Councilmember LeBaron, regarding your question. The candidate statement may include your age, name, occupation, and a brief description of no more than 200 words on the candidate statement. So it's optional.
Yeah, well, aren't we proposing that it not be optional, but it would be required?
No, the resolution says may.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to.
And I mentioned that, just actually, let me just touch on that one, in case anybody's wondering why I'm asking about that. People might be ageist and think that somebody who's 25 isn't like fit for that, or 30, or maybe they're, I don't know, 80, and if, you don't feel like you need to disclose your age, I don't know. I don't think I put my age on my candidate statement, but, yeah.
Thank you so very much, and, Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Yeah, and just to clarify that a little bit more, you don't even need to submit. You may. May means you don't even have to put your name on there, I guess. If you don't submit the candidate statement, you will just have your name listed. You don't have to pay the $16.
Thank you so very much, and I just wanna say that, you know, right now, this election is significant. And it was really great to see that we have over 16,000 people registered to vote. And it's my hope, with our population over 27,000, that more people will register to vote and participate in the process. I think that's really important, not just for the city, but for our nation. And, you know, this is an opportunity for us to shape the future of our city and the future of our country. And that's important because there's a lot of people, of all different backgrounds, who really led the charge in the fight and often lost their lives so that we could have that right. And I think that that's something that should be honored and respected, no matter where you are on the political spectrum. So it's important, and you know, I encourage each and every person, whether you live in Lemon Grove or not, to register to vote and to vote often. So I just kind of wanted to share that. And what I know is, you know, when we work together, we can really make a positive impact. Not just, you know, nationally, and it's a little bit harder and a little bit trickier, but, you know, especially right here at the local municipal level, right here in Lemon Grove. And I think that everyone truly in their hearts want to see a better, brighter future for Lemon Grove. So I support, these 3 recommendations, and, you know, if everyone's ready, we can start the process to, vote, make a motion and vote on these recommendations. So, do we have a motion?
I'll move that we adopt a resolution calling and giving notice of the general municipal election on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, for 1 mayoral seat and 2 city council member seats, and determining a tie vote by lot. Else, just one at a time? One at a time.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll ask our city clerk to call the roll.
The motion was made by Councilmember Snow with a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza, to approve staff's recommendation. Councilmember Castillo, absent. Councilmember Snow,
Aye.
Councilmember LeBaron,
Councilmember LeBaron, aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza,
Aye.
Mayor Vasquez.
Aye.
Motion carries on a vote of 4-0-1.
Thank you. And so our second,
I move that we adopt a resolution requesting consolidation of the general municipal election with the presidential election and requesting services of the San Diego Registrar of Voters.
Second?
we have a motion and a second. I'll ask our city clerk to call the roll.
The motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza with a second by Councilmember Snow. I will now conduct the roll to go on the record. Councilmember LeBaron,
Councilmember LeBaron, aye.
Councilmember Castillo, absent. Councilmember Snow,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza,
Aye.
Mayor Vasquez.
Aye.
Motion carries on a vote of 4-0-1.
And number 3,
I move that we adopt a resolution establishing regulations for candidate statements.
I'll second.
The motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza with a second by Mayor Vasquez. I will now conduct the roll to go on the record. Councilmember Castillo, absent. Councilmember Snow,
Aye.
Councilmember LeBaron,
Councilmember LeBaron, aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza,
Aye.
Mayor Vasquez.
Aye.
Motion carries on a vote of 4-0-1.
Thank you so very much. Now we will move on to item number 4, the payment and demands, which, was pulled from the consent calendar. And so I'll turn this over to our city manager, Lydia Romero, to present the report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council members. This item was carried over because there was very specific questions that Councilmember LeBaron had regarding the demands statement. In particular, the statement from our city attorney's firm, Burke, Williams, and Sorensen. So up on the screen, we have, what the general ledger is. So it's the client matter, what the description is, and the amount of the description. And I will just go down and read those for the city council before the questions are asked. The first client matter is general, and that is really general items in which, she gives us advice, other staff members call her. Attending these meetings is considered, general council matter, and that's at a billing amount of $10,275. Then code enforcement is the next matter. Then we're going into lawsuits. This is the first lawsuit, Williams, et al. Versus the city of Lemon Grove, and then we've spent $4,000 on that particular lawsuit. Project for Open Government versus Lemon Grove, we've done $713. Daniel Owens versus Earline, ERN Lynn Owens versus the city of Lemon Grove, that's $3,000. Satchel Cutter versus versus the city of Lemon Grove, that's $166. Pickaxe Holdings versus the city of Lemon Grove, $11,000. Christopher Williams versus the city of Lemon Grove, $987. Williams versus the city of Lemon Grove, $2,000. Planning Commission support at $16, and Lemon Grove bargaining unit negotiations at $5,000. So those are the amounts. This is what it pertains to based on the demand statement. We will make sure that we actually try and do a better job of being very clear in the future demand statement once it comes to this description. Staff would be happy to answer any further questions.
Thank you so very much. And so since Councilmember LeBaron pulled this item, what I will do here, I do have one speaker slip from Truth. And then after Truth speaks, then Councilmember LeBaron will have 2 questions of staff.
Well, this is quite interesting because I was trying to look up what is this item even about in the agenda packet, and I didn't really see an attachment until just now. So my speech was rendered useless because I ended up going back into the June 4th meeting and trying to find out, is it the same item? No, it wasn't. So I see a bunch of lawsuits, and one that catches my eye right away is Project for Open Government versus Lemon Grove. I was looking them up, I'm not really sure what they are, but they allege that they're trying to find out unethical and illegal conduct by government. And that is actually that's what regular people are supposed to be doing. So, for example, if anyone wants to know how can you find out what corruption is going without an expensive lawsuit that costs the city, you can easily request records, public records. So for example, if someone is doing something that they shouldn't be doing on their phone during a meeting, you can request the record of their cell phone, their text messages. And you can see who they were talking to, in case they were talking to somebody they weren't supposed to be talking to during the meeting, in case that happened tonight, for example. We could find out without a lawsuit, we could save a lot of money. The other ones, I mean, it's very expensive, but that's the cost of litigation, that's the cost of doing city business as it goes. But yeah, I'm just giving people a heads up on stuff that goes on. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And Councilmember LeBaron, you may ask your 2 questions.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to make sure that I accurately captured what the city manager presented. And that's at the 3rd item down, 8250.0011003, in the amount of $4,062.81. That's William versus the city of Lemon Grove and that's the case of Christopher Williams suing the city of Lemon Grove over what he alleges to be like improper issuance of medical marijuana dispensary permits. Then Project for Open Government versus the city of Lemon Grove. I want to make sure that I understand what that lawsuit is, and that's in the amount of $713.80. And that's for a lawsuit that was lodged against the city of Lemon Grove for failing to disclose public information pertaining to accusations about alleged misbehavior on my behalf. There was a meeting, I believe it was 2022, where council members were trying to pass a public censor of me, saying that I had done stuff that I shouldn't have done, yet to this day, the city hasn't produced any evidence that proves that. And so much so that Project for Open Government is suing the city of Lemon Grove because the city put on an entire circus that day and made all these claims and provided 0 evidence. Still, now, to this day, and we're still in litigation with this organization, Project for Open Government, because when governments make accusations, they need to provide proof of that. Hasn't been furnished to this day, hence we're still in this lawsuit. And then Daniel Owens and Erlane versus the city of Lemon Grove, that's a couple that is suing the city over a broken storm drain that they allege is just the same as the Sean Farson storm drain. They say that their case is identical to his, and they're suing the city the same way that he sued the city and won, actually using the same exact attorney that Sean Farson used. Sido Hutter versus the city of Lemon Grove is also a lawsuit against the city because of a broken storm drain. Sido Hutter alleged that that storm drain is public property and that the city should fix it with the collective pool of tax dollars versus them paying for it by themselves. Pixax Holding versus the city of Lemon Grove, to my knowledge, that's a lawsuit where a gentleman by the name of Christopher Williams is also suing over what he alleges to be improprieties regarding the issuance of medical marijuana dispensary permits. I wanna say that's the next three. And if I'm mistaken in those ones regarding Christopher Williams, please do correct me. And this all totals $38,000 in litigation for that month. This was just for that time, a short time, right?
So that really isn't all litigation, because our California Joint Powers Insurance Authority actually also represents us in litigated matters as well. But the city attorney doesn't do it, our insurance group does that. So just to go down some of the list, the first one of Williams, 0031, that is regarding North Avenue, when the council denied a conditional use permit to the, to Pickaxe Holdings. And that case has been litigated since 2019. So we're still in litigation with that case. The Project for Open Government, you are correct, it is a PRA case, because we are not turning over.
Records request?
Yes, because we are not turning over attorney-client privilege documents. And the Daniel Owens is a storm drain case, which is a three-party case. There's a third party that is on somebody else's private property, and I know the city attorney is working on a solution that will be coming to city council in closed session, hopefully fairly soon. The Satchel Hutter, that is the Canton, storm drain issue. That matter is, as far as the city's concerned, the storm drain has been completed. We removed the storm drain into the public right of way. We are just, the CJPIA is working with the property owners to restore their personal property. And the other three cases are still very new in their maturity, but they all relate to a marijuana dispensary to the corner of, on Broadway, 80 and 8283 Broadway Avenue.
That's related to the dispensary that's by the Little Darlings one? The
That's
one
correct.
where there's, the city granted, like the city gave those people permission to build a dispensary right next to the Chris Williams one that was already like in permit process, is that the one?
One of the cases is dealing with the fact that the city council denied extension of the conditional use permit. And the other case is that the city council denied the appeal hearing when they tried to get a separation finding.
Thank you so very much. I'll check with our council members to see if anyone else has any questions regarding that particular item. As I do not see anyone, Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
So half of this, roughly half of this amount is dealing with lawsuits brought by Mr. Christopher Williams, is that correct? Like, do math here?
It appears for this billing this month, you are correct.
And are any of these cases, dealing with trying to, Mr. Williams lost a lawsuit against the city, and we're trying to collect about, what did the court award, like, over $100,000
Are any of these dealing with the collection that we're trying? They are not, that's separate than these. That is separate and that is being handled administratively. Okay, alright, thank you.
And I see that our city attorney wants to chime in here.
I just wanna add that if the city receives an invoice from Burke Williams and Sorensen, which is my firm, it appears on the payment statements when it's been paid. So there are no invoices that the city has received that do not appear on the payment statements.
Thank you so much for the clarification, and as I do not see any additional questions, I'd like to know if we have a motion for, item number 4.
I move that we adopt item number 4.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I second approval of the payment demands.
We have a motion and a second, I'll ask our city clerk to call the roll.
The motion was made by Councilmember Snow with a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza to approve staff's recommendation. I will now conduct the roll to go on the record. Councilmember Garcia absent. Councilmember Snow.
Aye.
Councilmember LeBaron.
Councilmember LeBaron, aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Aye.
Mayor Vasquez.
Aye.
Motion carries on a vote of 4-0-1.
Thank you, I believe our city manager wants to chime in.
No, Madam Mayor, I was just gonna remind, if there are speaker slips for item number 5, which will be continued to the next city council meeting, the speaker slips will, go over to the next city council meeting as well, so you don't have to fill out a second slip.
Thank you, so we will see you at our next city council meeting, as item number 5 will be carried over. We'll go into the council member meeting report. This section of the meeting is dedicated to the oral reports from city council about meetings attended at the expense of the city. A report should be a